Let's talk about this with our good friend Amanda Rose. Morning, Amanda, founder and CEO of Entrepreneurial and Small Business Women Australia. Everywhere that you work, you've got an HR department. Some HR departments are bigger and more grandiose than others, but don't be under any miscomprehension. Don't be confused into thinking that they're there for you. Isn't that right, Amanda? Because HR is not your friend.
That is correct. It is the complete opposite. Now, I'm not saying that HR people aren't nice people. Well, a lot of nice HR people out there. I know quite a few. However, people need to realise that the company pays for the HR manager and the HR department. They're not paying them to protect you against the company or someone in the company.
I've always got the impression that HR are there to protect the employer.
They are. Look, they're pretty much a risk navigating system for the employer. So obviously risk means we want to make sure we're hiring the right people so we don't have to rehire because it's so expensive. We also don't want any grief or anything that's going to disrupt the productivity of the company because let's face it, businesses, especially big businesses, are about making money efficiently. So that's their job. Their job is to make sure that's happening. So it's running workshops or identifying a problem and removing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean the problem that is your problem is also their problem.
Do you think it's to your detriment to go to HR? Do you think you're better off just wearing it or moving into another company?
Look, it can be to your detriment unless you have, say, for example, if you've been bullied or harassed, which happens often, and the bullies are very, very good at that. But if you're tracking everything that's happening to you and you've got evidence, then HR need to listen to that. They're not going to listen to you just saying this person's harassing me or this is what's happening to me. You need proof and you need like a logbook of what's happened to you. Then they have to take you seriously. And sometimes they will literally remove you from your role into a different department because the person that's doing it to you is so high up and they're very connected.
Yep.
So therefore they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it seems that if you've got someone who's in a position where they're your boss and they're making your life hard, the longer they've been with the company, the more chances are that this has happened before and that HR are waiting for you to come knocking on the door.
Well, yes, but also what's really disappointing, and I see this all the time with the people I work with and clients, is the fact that that person can cause so much grief for the whole company by retaliation or throwing a tantrum.
Or because they know where the bodies are buried.
Yes, with blackmail. So they'll keep them and then you're the one that's been hurt. So don't rely on HR to be your friend. Use it as a tool, but make sure you're prepared for all options.
And when they plaster their windows with all of these slogans making you think that they are employee friendly, is that a legality or is that just to try and give you the inference that they are in fact there for you?
Well, it's definitely trying to make sure that they're ticking the box, that they're doing the right things by law, that they're a safe place for everyone and that everyone is treated equally. So they've got to say it, but doesn't necessarily mean that all the companies deliver on that.
So what's the point of HR then? Is it just something that's perfunctory, that's there just to make you feel secure as an employee?
Oh, it's just a governance and risk mitigating department for the company. For the company itself and a recruiter for the company. And there might be some training components to, a lot of companies offer, training. And this is another thing. They'll offer, sexual harassment training. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but they've ticked the box to say that they've run it.
Do you think that's a government thing that they have to do that?
They do it because if they don't have all these things written down, for example, they might miss out on contracts. They might miss out on, the criteria for ESG or for being, workplace gender equality and things like that. So a lot of these organizations play the game, but it doesn't mean it's rippling down to the individual.
And so if you go to HR, I've often thought that there's nothing confidential about it, one, that it'll get back to the person you're complaining about. And also I've often thought that it goes against you in your record somewhere, that you're a bit of a complainer.
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen so many people go to HR genuinely with, their documentation and they're seen as the difficult person. And then the person they complained about tells everyone, and then they all turn on you, and then you're highly stressed at work. It's just not worth it. The only time you should go to HR is when your case is so solid and so powerful, and you have a backup job waiting for you, and you can go in there with guns a-blazing,
well, if you've got a job waiting for you, it's just, really a way of getting retribution, isn't it, before you get to go?
Well, it's satisfying, right? But
Right.
that's why I always say to people, always have another job available. Like, even if you're in a job that you love, all it takes is for them to hire one person or one thing to change, and you hate your job.
Have you ever gone to HR?
I have. I've been bullied in the workplace, but my backup was that I used to tell my manager on a regular basis what was happening, and I actually stood up to my particular bully, and they were a lot older than me. I was only in my 20s,
Right.
and it was a male,
Yeah.
and then they went to HR and complained about me. And so HR instantaneously took their side, and it wasn't until my manager said, no, she's been complaining about him for 6 months but didn't want him to lose his job, so she didn't say anything. And that's only when she went, oh. But the initial was like, oh, she's in the wrong, because you got all these mates and everything to kind of back him up. And my boss went, no, he's been harassing her for some time now.
Did somebody go, oh, is this about Amanda again?
Well, that happens now. But more like, with people I work with. But it's just really interesting. I was in my 20s and this man was in his 40s. Like, the power imbalance of that was horrific. So it's kind of like the best manipulator, the most connected, the best performer of lies is the person they listen to.
Right. Amanda Rose there. Nice to talk to you. Thanks, Amanda, founder and CEO of Entrepreneurial and Small Business Women Australia. Coming up to 28 minutes past 4. Let's get to the newsroom.